All right, buddy. I hope you enjoyed reading chapter 2. We're back with Lenny to kind of hear some of his thoughts and what was going through his head when he wrote some of the pieces in there. Right out of the gate, this chapter starts with a quote that I'm going to read to you, and I just kind of want to hear your thoughts and where this comes from. White supremacy's gang of merry motherfuckers. What does that mean, and why did you write that?
I wrote that because at a certain point in American history, there were people in this country who did not want it to change. They had their state, their community, right, their block on lock, and they feared change. The only way to prevent change is through violence and aggression. And these supremacists were hell-bent on raising hell, right? And they did not want to share, right, the American dream with anyone that did not look like them. And this is a select group of people. It's not all of those people. It's not all white people. It's just a select group that took it upon themselves to prevent change and evolution. And they did things to, this country that were not good, like assassinating people, right? Killing people, scaring people, preventing people from growing economically, right? Kicking people out of their towns, and just this barrage of hell unleashed on certain communities. And I believe that is something that will prevent everyone from getting better, right? Because when you take different people of different backgrounds and you put them in a room full of ideas, you come out of that room with better ideas. But if you're in the room with all the same like-minded people, you're going to come out of that room with all the same ideas. There's no difference. There's no change. And so these merry motherfuckers did not want change. And that's why I put that in there.
So you kind of alluded to it there of the American dream
is for everyone. Everyone. Everyone on this soil. Everyone. There are some people that come here for a better life. That's what it was on day one. Everyone who came here was looking for a better life. The indigenous people that were here were living off the fat of the land, right? But every day they were seeking a better life. People in general, no matter where you are in the world, every day they get up, they seek a better day, a better life. And it's just part of the human dynamic.
So this is also where we start to talk about that your American dream might be different from my American dream, might be different from their American dream.
As it should. Everyone, regardless of where you are, again, in the world, you should have your own American dream. If you live in Dubai, you should have a dream that reflects where you are, right? If you live in China, which I've been to China, spent 3 weeks in China. It's beautiful, beautiful vacation. They should have a dream that reflects where they are. But if you are here in America, the American dream used to be the white picket fence, right? The family, right? The little dog, right? Watching the mailman come down to deliver milk, right? So that's the American dream. That's what was told to us. That's what was showed to us through TV programming and movies and stuff like that. Well, I urge people to create your own American dream. And the way to do that is to define what it means to you, just like success. If you want to be successful, you need to define what success means to you in one sentence. If you want to be happy, You need to know what happiness is in one sentence. Define it, how it means, what it means to you. That, you know what I'm saying? It's very easy to do, but it's not, right? A lot of people, I want to be happy. I want to be successful. Well, if you don't define it in one sentence that you can repeat to everyone who asks you, what's your definition of success? What's your definition of happiness? If you can't define it in one sentence, it'll get skewed. You'll forget about it. It's not succinct. It's not direct. It's not on point every time. It's not the same every time. If it's the same every time, you get used to it. You start reciting it in your sleep so that when it actually happens, you already know what it is. But unless you define it, if you don't define it, you'll never know what it is when it hits you.
So let's give the people at home an action item.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to define their American dream, what should they do?
They should sit down, they should think about their life, and they should write out in one sentence what it means to them. That's it. And then that dream, right, that American dream, or that definition of success, or that definition of happiness, it may change over time, right? So don't be afraid to change it over time. But that comes with moving forward, achieving it, and then reflecting on it, right? Because I've already achieved my dreams, goals, and ambitions. I had to create new ones. So my happiness never changes because it's rooted in my family, right? My wife and kids, myself, being healthy, wealthy, and wise. That's it. As long as my family and I are healthy, wealthy, and wise, I'm happy, right? Success for me, I've already achieved everything, right? I moved to California for the weather. I literally did. I was already successful. I didn't move here to do deals and make money and do all that stuff. I came from Philadelphia with it all. You know what I'm saying? So when I got here, I was like, oh shit, this is the land of opportunity. There is so much opportunity in Los Angeles, right? I couldn't just sit back and chill. I had to hit the ground running, right? And so, I had to redefine what success means to me, right? So that I don't go crazy and do all these other opportunities, or take all these other opportunities and do this development project and get my hands full like I was in Philly. I was juggling businesses. I had 4 companies in Philly. I had to slow that down and be more succinct. I had to define what success was to me, and that made me understand that I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this seamlessly, not overexert myself and not cause myself too much stress. So that's a long answer, but sorry.
No, that's great. That's great. That's the extra stuff, that beefs up a companion piece, right?
Yeah.
I find it very interesting that you set up the American dream idea before discussing Norristown.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose that approach?
Well, not everybody's from Norristown, but everyone has heard about the American dream. Mm-hmm. It was embedded in our psyche, through culture, right? American culture and the American dream. It's side by side. You grow up here, you come here when you're young, you become a citizen, you seek something. This is the land of opportunity. And I wanted to spotlight that just briefly. And I touch base on it throughout the book, but I have wanted to touch base on that so that it would be all-encompassing for everyone, because everyone should have some sort of motivation to want a better life, and mine is defined as the American dream. And Norristown is where I'm from, born and raised.
And Norristown really becomes a major setting.
Absolutely. 30 minutes west of Philly. It's a town of 35,000, right? You're given some opportunity, but it's limited. You got to take advantage of your opportunity. And if it doesn't happen, you got to create some other opportunities. I wanted to get out of Norristown because I knew that I wanted to see the world. right? I didn't want to grow up in Norristown, never leave Norristown, and die in Norristown. I wanted to see the world, and that's part of my American dream.
Which you redefine, you do redefine it right in this chapter. But before that, you have a line that is very interesting.
Okay.
Regarding Norristown, to get out of there, good luck, kid.
Mm-hmm. It's not easy. We're not taught, right? We're not taught about money. We're not taught about, the value of it, the power of it, right? Norristown is a beautiful place to raise a family because it's a melting pot. It has its own ecosystem. Everybody's there, every nationality, every religion. It's all on top of each other. It's a beautiful place to be culturally raised, right? But we're not taught. Our parents aren't, wealthy or highly successful, right? We got to be careful with that phrase because, depending on what their definition of success is, they may believe that they are successful, right? And so I lived in a row home, right? Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with how I grew up. We had no money sometimes. We had no heat, no electricity sometimes, lack of food sometimes, but we had no idea that we were poor. I'd leave my house. I'd go down the street, play with my friends, happy as can be, come home. There was something to eat, Sometimes I had to have breakfast cereal with water because we had no milk. But, that was just our way of life. I didn't know any better. So my point is, coming from Norristown, we just don't know any better, right? We're not taught how the world really works. We're not taught how to create wealth and maintain wealth and pass it on to the next generation. And so, it has its drawbacks being raised in a town of 35,000.
Yeah, and the second part of that, good luck, kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, I don't know, is that some sort of maybe resentment of like, don't think you can get out of here?
No, not at all. I don't even know what that would look like. Good luck. Because if you're not taking it by the reins, have you ever rode a horse?
Yes.
Okay. Imagine being on that horse and not taking the reins, right? That's a scary feeling, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You got to take the reins. You got to guide the horse, right? Where you want to go. That's what the dream is all about, especially if you're from a town like Norristown. You have to be at the forefront of your dreams. You can't just let time go by because time goes by quickly in Norristown. Next thing you know, it's 10 years later. And you haven't done what you thought you wanted to do or dreamt about doing. You have to take the initiative and follow your dreams. And you have to do that by doing the right thing the right way until you get the right results.
Some people don't know what the right thing is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of part of the Norristown issue?
It is, because we're not taught. There's no sharing of generational wealth, especially in the Black community. Right. There's a lot of trauma. Now, that trauma comes from being a have-not, right? Bills, right? I call them Williams. When your Williams aren't paid, right? You're struggling, and your father, in my particular case, my stepfather was an alcoholic, right? Couldn't really keep a good job. Good luck getting promoted to a better job. My mother was consistent. Very consistent. She worked at Bell Telephone. Bell Telephone eventually became AT&T. My mother had a part-time job as a bartender in a bar. She was consistent. She retired from her job, right? But raising a family on one income is very difficult, especially as time goes on, inflation and what have you. I was a kid of a have-not family, and that's never fun. Mm-hmm. But again, we didn't know any better. So, to be born and raised in a town like Norristown, it's best to have a two-parent income And most of my friends did not have that. We didn't have that. And so, it takes its toll.
So towards the end of the chapter, you switch gears for a minute. Tell me, who are Gwen and Hampton?
Gwen is my mother, who I just spoke on, and Hampton is my biological father. First time I seen him, and it's a vivid, etched in my memory, moment. I was about 2 years old. He had a handful of toys. My Aunt Jeannie, who is my mother's sister, was taking me to my mother's job on Cherry Street. And we crossed the street, and I remember seeing him standing over by his car. And then I remember the toys being on top of my Aunt Jeannie's car. And that's pretty much all I remember. But I never seen him again after that until I was in an 8th grade football championship football game. He was over on the sidelines, and I had no idea. That's the first time I really met him. I was like 13.
Yeah. And what does it mean to dream about fish?
Back in the day, in the community, in the black community, I don't know if it's the same in the white community, but, brothers and sisters, man, when you dream about fish, that means that somebody in your proximity is pregnant. And, my grandmother's sister came up for a visit. And, we were all at the dinner table. Well, not we.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was there. I was there because I was in my mom's belly.
Yeah.
So we were all at the dinner table because I was a fetus at that point. And my grandmother's sister, I guess that would be my great aunt. Would that be my great aunt?
Yep.
Okay. So my great aunt said, last night I had a dream about fish. And my mom, she got all stiff and was like, it ain't me. Knowing damn well it was her, so.
The name of chapter 2, by the way, is Stronger Than a Condom.
That's right.
Because in this you talk about two young people, Gwen and Hampton, and a fateful prom night.
Yeah, they were down by the Schuylkill River, and they did what some young people do. And my biological father dropped my mother back off at her parents' house, and she was walking towards the house, and she came back, said, "And I better not be pregnant either." And I'm sure he scoffed at that, right? What a thing to say, right? And he thought to himself, I'm sure, well, she can't be pregnant because I wore a condom. Well, she was pregnant, right? Not because my great aunt had a dream about fish, but the reality is they hooked up. My dad wore a condom, and she got pregnant anyway. So that's why it's, titled Stronger Than a Condom. Because I've been fighting for my life since day one, brother. Which
is interesting because literally you weren't planned.
I was not planned, and I don't think the average person realizes how lucky they are to be alive, right? Planned or unplanned. It's a blessing by God to be alive, to be able to breathe, to be able to walk, to hear, have your 5 senses, and to be able to experience everyday life, right? So I walk in this constant state of gratitude, not just because I was born and I was conceived and my father wore a condom, but because I'm here to say it. I can actually say it, right? My dad wore a condom and I still fought through it. I'm resilient, man. I'm resilient. I'm telling you.
There's humor throughout the book.
Yeah.
So, as you're listening with this, still to come in the future, it gets heavy in places, right?
Sure.
But there's some levity,
sure,
as well, and it reminds me a lot of just you and who you are as a person. Of you're wearing the hat right now. Let your light shine. That's always been the way you walk, the way you hold yourself. It seems like things don't get to you.
Oh, they do. They do, and they always have. But I realized, I don't have control over other people. I have control over my response to other people. I have control over, how I view things, right? How I view myself, right? And how I want others to view me, right? So I don't always have control over how they view me. But if they view me and act in a different way, I can confront them and change their behavior, right? So I have control over a certain amount of things. But one thing I do is I wear my heart on my sleeve. So what you see is what you get. Simple.
Well, we'll be back for chapter 3.
That's right.